Kia ora and welcome back again. We're back for another episode or reaction to the New Zealand Special Air Service Selection course, First Among Equals. We're still in the part 1 documentary. This is part 3 reaction or third reaction. No, this is part 4. This is the fourth reaction. Breaking them up into sort of 15-minute chunks in terms of video footage on the screen, 10 to 15 minutes of footage, which has been equating to about 30 minutes worth of video time for the video that you're watching now, if you're here watching it. So let's jump on in.
It's not the fear of being on or the unknown so much about the selection course, but it's that nagging fear that you might not make it.
There were some very bad moments when you wanted to pull out. I thought I could finish the 10 days all right. Well, my feet were like plates of meat, I suppose, you know.
Interesting hearing the older generation speaking about, the thoughts that they had about quitting or leaving. Surprising to a degree for me personally. There definitely were times when it was hard, but I don't. Maybe my memory is just more hazy than what I think. But I personally don't recall thinking to myself that I can't do this, that this isn't what I'm meant to do. I always felt that this is exactly what I was born to do. This is what I'm here for, to serve in this unit. So yeah, interesting though, hearing their thoughts. It takes all sorts, so many different personalities, people from all walks of life that come into and that make it into the unit. But there are a lot of common sort of traits, mindsets and approach and all that sort of stuff to it as well.
9 days ago, 50 men gathered at the secret location in a personal quest for selection into the New Zealand SAS. Only 7 remain, but their bodies and minds are at breaking point. Now they face a 60-kilometre route march that will take all day and night to complete.
It's a test of endurance.
Just pausing that there, I don't think I missed any of it, but it hasn't shown the... and that's fine too, doesn't need to. But the close country navigation exercise, that was a 3 days. So from memory, for me, we had like a 5 or 6 day pre-selection, which was pretty basic stuff. We went over some of the ground where we would be. We weren't told that, hey, these are areas that we're going to be covering in the Port Waikato area. But, obviously once testing started, we did go back to that area on days 2, 3, and 4 for the open country nav. But day 1 was, as you saw on the first, would have been the first reaction video. Days 2, 3, and 4 were the open country navigation, at least when I went through. Day 5, which crossed into day 6, was the dunes. I don't remember it being called Von Temsky. Maybe Von Temsky is just the name that they use for the swamp, which is what they've done. And then after that, then we went into 1, 2, 3 days of close country navigation. So that took you to day 9. When you got into the last checkpoint, or once you found out that you were at the last checkpoint of the close country navigation, you got to rest that night. And then the next day, the last day, was when you had the 60 clicker. You started in the morning, obviously it went all day, went into the night and early hours of the next morning. Depending on how and when you finished. So that's the 10 days. On here, what I've seen on the video so far, but maybe there's more because this goes for an hour, 38 minutes. We've seen the first day, we've seen the 3 days of open country navigation, we've seen Von Temsky, and now it's saying that they've got the 60-kilometre pack march, which, that's not 10 days. So clearly they've left out some of the information, or not information, some of the activities and stuff that takes place during the close country aspect of selection, which is fine. You don't, knowing everything doesn't necessarily set you up. Like, I didn't know everything going into selection, and I think that actually played and worked out as an advantage for me going in, because I didn't have any expectations, and I didn't really know what to expect because I was so junior and so young. And that gave it an element or air of excitement for me as well. I was always on my toes, and I needed to be. And yeah, it's just a lot of good memories. So anyway, they're at the 60-kilometre march, or getting ready to make a start on that.
And all they have to do is get to the end.
But the volunteers' bodies are on the verge of total shutdown.
Physically, they are pretty much destroyed, although it's imposed and it's monitored.
Malnourished, vitamin deficient, it's their feet which suffer most.
Lance them and tape them. Try and control them best you can. Bottom line, it's going to hurt.
They're given their first decent feed in days.
I mean, I lost about 10, 12 kgs probably. Something horrendous.
And you lose a lot of weight. Like I was nearly 110 kilos when I went on the New Zealand selection. When I came off, I was 78 kilos. So I lost nearly 30 kilos. That was me. I normally kick around anywhere between 93 to 98 kilos. That's what I normally sit around at. Right now, I'm probably at 97, 98. So pushing the upper end of what I normally sit around or what I normally kick around at. But I knew that we weren't going to get fed much on selection. So I intentionally, once I knew that I could meet the requirements and I could move reasonably well for my size at that time, I hit the gym a little bit more. Nothing crazy, not trying to bulk up, just looking to maintain strength and keep a bit of cardio and that sort of thing. And then I ate to put some extra weight on so that my body would have places to go and munch from when I started getting hungry and starving. And clearly it did. It came in handy for me. But I come off, man, very, very small compared to, when I went on. So hearing the guys, losing 10, 12 kilos, I'm thinking, oh, man, gee, that's pretty good. I lost a heck of a lot. So, yeah, interesting. And then at the same time on the Australian one, I went on the selection probably around about my normal weight, anywhere from 96 to 98 kilos. And I came off that one around about the same 78, 79 kilos. So didn't lose as much, didn't go on as heavy, but still ended up around about the same weight by the time I finished. These guys getting a decent feed. There was 2 times when we got a really good, decent feed on my selection. One was after the dunes, before we went into the close country. And then the second was like what they're getting now, except ours was the night before the 60-kilometre, which was the next day. So there were 2 times when we got a TV dinner hot box meal, which was that was gold. It was gold.
I've never been so hungry in my life. Seriously.
This exercise is designed to test their will to the maximum. Can they continue to function to SAS standard at the extreme of their physical and mental tolerance?
It is incredibly demanding, and by the end of it, most people are pretty knackered. But you have to pass. You have to get to the end.
For one last time, they don heavy loads.
You're mentally fatigued, physically fatigued, your feet hurt. It's only 60 to go, eh?
The volunteers must somehow find hidden reserves if they are to stand any chance of completing the 60 Ks.
Why does a rugby player want to be an All Black? It's the same sort of thing. For me, it was about being the best of the best. I still had this opportunity right in front of me. I wasn't going to let it go.
Yeah, I'm nearly there. I just got to walk the 60K. And you're at the start point. And it's like, on your marks, get set.
And you know what? Even then, at least for me, again, an example of my inexperience, immaturity in that as well. I didn't know. I kept thinking, 60-kilometre, yeah, we're here now. And I thought to myself, I knew, I'd heard that this was the last part of the selection. But in the back of my mind, I was still thinking, that there's going to be more. Like, I bet there's going to be another piece of the selection course that, for whatever reason, I thought people just weren't telling us. People just didn't share. I thought everybody would come when they're saying, "Oh yeah, 60," and you finish off at the 60 kilometer, and then if you get through, then selection's done. I don't know why, but I just always thought that people were lying about that. I thought they were lying and that there was something else after the 60 kilometer. So I would have been in bad shape, really bad shape, had there been more distance to cover after that final stomp, just given the condition of my feet. But knowing and reflecting and thinking about where I was mentally, like my feet felt like rubbish. I probably still had 20 kilometers to go, maybe even more. And I was hobbling along, but still managed to finish, one of the first, like I think I finished third or fourth out of our group of 12. So we still had about 12 on my selection by the time we got to this point, not just the 7 that they've got here. So, yeah, I'm glad that there wasn't anything else after the 60 kilometer.
Go, your way.
On your own again, I enjoyed it.
One at a time, they begin their lonely march.
I can't remember how much time between each candidate.
But in those first steps, was like, oh, shucks. Everything had seized up, and you just like, get moving.
But there was at least a few minutes between each person.
For the first 10 kilometres, most push hard despite their frailty.
Because you're not as quick as you were on the first day. And you're quite a few kilos lighter.
Checkpoints come and go. Approaching the 20-kilometre mark, it's a struggle to maintain any momentum.
You start winding back. You can't take big steps. You got to come in. If you take big steps, you're really starting to, pull on the muscles and that.
By now, they've passed the point of no return as their bodies start to shut down.
When do I stop for a 5-minute break? Do I stop for a 5-minute break? Because if you stop, then you seize up.
With his legs cruelly failing him at the last hurdle, one man's dream is shattered.
That's the way it goes sometimes. You can get all that way, and sounds like at least one person for now. It doesn't sound like he's able to continue, which is, heartbreaking for anybody that goes on selection and you get that deep, that far into selection, and for whatever reason you can't go any further. Heartbreaking. But typically, from what I know, is that a number of people that get deep into selection that either are unable to move on, but they go away and they identify what their weaknesses are and they go and work on that. They typically go back and they pass. So I had a good mate. He's out of the unit now. Po, or Pohatu is his surname. We were on the same selection. It was his second selection. I think he knew and identified, which really helped me in my preparation for selection, but he come back and identified that his legs, it was just, I remember him saying his legs just weren't strong enough. He wasn't able to cover the distances that he needed to cover because his legs wouldn't carry him. So when he come back, he didn't sulk, whinge, moan about it. He got to work. And when just me hearing that piece of information from him really helped me in terms of, which really helped me structure what I was going to do with my training. Heavy load, increase the load incrementally each week, do lots of step-ups, get out, pound the pavement with heavy load on my back. Lo and behold, little did I know it would actually help strengthen my shoulders, my back, my hips, my legs, my knees, etc., which just, saw me through. It was exactly what I needed to hear. So thank you, Pope, for the information, and it was great to be on selection with him, pick his brain, learn from him during pre-selection as well. So he is a, incredible man, really good man. And I learned a lot from him, and then we went on to cycle together. He ended up getting badged in NZ. Unfortunately, I didn't. But, he went on to serve within the unit. And I haven't seen him since, but just hearing that, what's happened for this individual, just brought back those memories just then. Man, like I say, it's like some of the memories are just like yesterday, and then some of them are, a bit hazy, a bit grey.
Into the final 30 kilometres of the march, the 6 remaining soldiers wage an internal battle, not to give up.
It's very much self-achievement. In this particular instance, you've got nobody pushing you. You want to be there, and you'll do anything to get there.
I chose to be there. I didn't have to be there. I chose to be there. I could leave at any time.
Yep.
I wanted it. And I was going to run through a brick wall if I had to get it.
With 20 kilometres left, each man keeps going on pure willpower.
It started to get dark and it started to hallucinate. It started to see things moving.
I didn't, thankfully.
And then you sort of go into a zone. You just look at the stars.
All sense of time is lost, and fearing they're falling behind, frustration sets in.
You get to a checkpoint, you think, this must be the last checkpoint. You keep going, and you just keep going, and that kept on happening.
And you're thinking, bloody bastards.
Then, out of blackness, a small glowing light appears. This is the end of selection.
I didn't realise what you'd achieved up to then. I think the body and the brain was sort of like, oh, just shut down mode.
I still remember what it was like when I got to the last checkpoint. For me, there wasn't a green Xylem stick. There was a staff member, there was a truck, and a staff member that there was a little fire that was there. I didn't see any other candidates because I knew I wasn't first. So as I knew John McNutt, he was a captain, rest in peace. He had passed me. He left last out of the 60 click. I think I left third to last, maybe second to last, third to last, something like that. And I ended up finishing third or fourth. He left last and finished first. So it gives you an idea of how much ground he made up after the few minutes between each candidate leaving, and then just ate us all up, and then finished first. So when I got there, the DS directing staff, I went over to report, and I remember he just put out his hand and extended his hand for me to grab it and shake it, and just said, "Congratulations. This is the end of selection." And it was awesome, like just a overwhelming feeling of relief, but mostly sort of satisfaction. It's like, man, I did it. And at that stage, because I knew you could still not be selected to go on to the cycle, by that stage, I didn't actually care if I got selected for further training or not. It wasn't until the next day when it's like, oh, okay, now we're going to have to report front up in front of the CEO and whoever else is there to find out our fate, if we've done enough, if we are able to be, if we're going to be selected for the cycle or not. And that's when I started thinking, oh man, I hope I make it through to the cycle. And thankfully I did. But awesome to see and hear the stories from the operators or ex-operators now sharing how they felt and what it was like for them. Yeah, it's a cool moment. Really cool moment.
One by one, the remaining volunteers reached the last checkpoint, barely able to stand.
It didn't really cross my mind then. I just thought I'd finished and sweet.
Yes.
It's a great feeling to know how far you can go. It really is. To know that you can just keep going and going until your heart stops.
With the last men in, their selection hell is at an end.
out of 58, 6 got through on this selection. I've heard of selections before mine and probably a number after, but I'd heard of selections before mine where only 2 or 3 passed their selection out of 30 or 40 plus. So it's, it must be really, not must be, it will feel really rewarding. It would feel different, I think, because I've finished with a large number, and now in NZ, there's quite a large number to complete. And maybe even the same for Australia, because there was about 27 from memory that completed selection, but they only took 19 of us on the cycle. So on the New Zealand one, there must have been more than 12. So maybe we finished with more than 12, or maybe it was about 12, but they only selected, I know that there was a handful that didn't get selected for the cycle to progress on. What do we got on there? Oh yeah, still got 9 minutes.
I sat down. Within a couple of minutes, my nose started to bleed. My feet were blistered. I knew I'd gone quite a long way. It was further than I'd ever gone before.
After 10 days of selection, the ambitions of 50 have become the realization for just 6 exhausted men who have earned the right to train for the New Zealand SAS.
Oh, nice. So sounds like all 6 made it through to go on to the cycle. So I'm guessing that's maybe what part 2 is about, or maybe it's part of it here, because there's still over an hour or just under an hour left of this video. So
anybody who's been in the unit, what their proudest moment was, I think it would be when the selection panel says you're in.
When he says you're in, he means you're in to progress onto the cycle. Like you're not badged, you're not getting no sandy beret wing dagger. You probably get scowled at if you even touch one, without going through the next phase. So Ginger trying to stay in time.
G'day, Private. Please take a seat.
Cool. Let's have a seat.
Perfect. Congratulations.
We never
You've
got
done
to
a tremendous effort just to pass the selection course and get to the end. We are happy to select you and take you for the training cycle and to give you the opportunity over the next 9 months to prove yourself and show that you're capable of being posted to this unit. Well done.
But today is only the beginning.
They aren't a member of the unit yet.
It'll take months of training to see if they have what it takes to become full members of the New Zealand SAS.
You do get told this is the easy part. The hard parts to come.
Next week, our cameras will follow the recruits through the demanding 9 months of SAS basic training, known as cycle. For the first time ever, you'll see just what it takes to earn selection into one of the world's fighting elites, the New Zealand SAS. Four months ago, 50 volunteers from the Army, Navy and Air Force were invited to the toughest selection process in the armed forces.
That's the hardest challenge that they've had to undertake in their military career.
The prize, the chance to become an SAS soldier.
It's every young man's dream.
But for the dream to be realized, these volunteers had to make it through 10 days of hell as they were put under the microscope and pushed further than ever before.
Get up there.
When athletes hit the wall, this is our wall.
Each day, the unsuitable were weeded out.
Not everyone passes, nor should everyone pass.
As their bodies and minds were pushed to breaking point, the numbers dropped until, by the end, just 6 were left standing.
Well done.
For each man, it's a significant personal milestone.
You do get told this is the easy part. The hard parts to come.
After a summer restoring fitness and leaving regiments and families behind, the successful 6 are joined by 2 more.
Usually we have some people who may have been injured on previous cycles.
First, the trainees are shown to the barracks they will call home for the duration of cycle. Among them are 2 officers who endured additional days of tests after selection in order to qualify for cycle.
Those are nice looking barracks.
And they got 9 months to either develop it, unleash it, or confirm that there's nothing there.
While cycle offers a sneak preview of life inside the unit, the trainees will seldom mix with badged members. That privilege will only come if they prove their worth over the next 9 months.
We are looking at this individual. Does he have what we believe now that he's shown us? Can he go further and conduct the other 9 months of training? Does he have the right temperament? Does he have the right intellect? Is he a good team player?
You on in uniforms, boy? Get down to E20.
Staff. Hurry up. Infantrymen as well.
After a thorough inspection, they are introduced to the Regimental Sergeant Major, the RSM. Dedicated to upholding the standards of the unit, the RSM is the soldier's soldier who has risen through the ranks and commands the utmost respect.
Cycle, stand at, pace! Stand easy. Right, welcome to day 1 at the unit. Today you commence your basic cycle of training. It'll be testing, it'll be demanding. If you cannot keep up, you'll be removed from the cycle. If you dislike the person standing next to you, leave those thoughts and feelings at the gate when you come in. You'll be required to work together, to eat, sleep and socialise together. You will learn to rely on the people standing around you. You must trust them with your life. For the next 9 months, you'll conduct yourself around this camp in double quick time. You will run everywhere. Train hard, fight easy. Course shut.
Once you decide to do the cycle, you give it your all.
Yep, you are at the bottom of the heap. You pass selection, so what? Welcome to day 1 of your cycle. You double everywhere, meaning you move quick time. Everybody else, badged operators, everybody else in that camp that you're in, they'll walk, they'll march, they'll take their time, they'll walk to wherever they need to get to. When you're on cycle, you got to double everywhere. You are under the microscope constantly, and it's not over till you get badged, till you officially receive that beret and call bout on the parade ground of your badging ceremony. So, yeah, they're in for a treat. Anyway, at least we're over halfway, or yeah, a little over halfway now, or close to halfway. Bloody hell. I was never very good at maths. But anyway, still in part 1. We're into the cycle, first part. So, geez, I'm not sure what part 2 is going to go into. But seeing as it's already gone through all the selection, I thought it was going to be part 1 was going to be through the selection, and then part 2 was going to be the cycle. But clearly we're already into the cycle now in this part 1 of the documentary. So that's all right. Leaves us a bit more to delve into and look into in part 2 when we get there. Thanks for sticking around. Hopefully you got something out of this reaction. Hopefully you took something away. Maybe some of those that I've served with might come across this video, might hear their names, like Poe, who I mentioned earlier, the patrol commander who I mentioned, or maybe that was on the other video, but we spoke about hard routine and yeah, just some of the experiences and good times and some not so good times during the selection process. Now they're into the cycle. I'll be back with another video. I'll do that probably tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. But yeah, keep hammering wherever you are. Keep turning up. Keep smashing. Whatever it is that you're going through, whatever hardships, challenges, stay in the fight. And until the next video, that's a mana wave for those that don't know. So a big mana wave that's giving you a mana wave, sending my energy, hopefully positive energy towards you. So people have been wondering, why do you do that at the end? Yeah, sending mana to you so that you can keep smashing with whatever it is that you're doing. Okay,